Can you recall a mess hall disaster you'll never forget? The day our new cook accidentally used industrial floor cleaner instead of cooking oil and poisoned half the base with what became known as Soapy Sunday. This happened at Fort Carson during my second deployment. We'd just gotten this replacement cook named Private Henderson, who was fresh out of culinary school and extremely confident about his abilities. He kept telling everyone how mess hall food was garbage and that he was going to revolutionize our dining experience with his professional training. Henderson had convinced the mess sergeant to let him prepare a special Sunday brunch featuring his signature crispy hash browns. He spent all week bragging about his secret technique and how we'd never taste anything so good in a military dining facility. The problem started Saturday night when Henderson was prepping for his big debut. The mess hall had recently been deep cleaned, and maintenance had left several large containers near the kitchen storage area. All the containers were identical silver jugs with no clear labeling. Henderson needed a lot of oil for his crispy hash browns, so he grabbed what he thought was the biggest container of cooking oil. What he actually grabbed was a 5-gallon jug of industrial floor degreaser that the cleaning crew had left behind. Nobody realized the mistake because the floor cleaner was clear like vegetable oil, and Henderson was working alone on his secret recipe. He used almost the entire container, soaking the hash browns and even using some to grease the griddle. Sunday morning arrived, and Henderson was beaming with pride as he served up massive portions of his signature hash browns to about 200 soldiers. The hash browns looked perfect, golden brown, crispy, and exactly like he'd promised. Everyone was actually impressed with how good they looked. The first sign something was wrong came about 10 minutes after people started eating. Soldiers began complaining that the hash browns tasted like soap and left a weird film in their mouths. But Henderson insisted it was just a bold flavor profile and that we weren't sophisticated enough to appreciate real cooking. Then people started getting sick. Not food poisoning sick. They were literally foaming at the mouth like rabid dogs. Soldiers were spitting up bubbles and running to the bathrooms with soap coming out of both ends. The mess hall turned into a scene from a disaster movie. The base medics were called in, and someone finally figured out what had happened when they found the empty floor cleaner container in the kitchen. Henderson had essentially served 200 soldiers a breakfast, seasoned with industrial degreaser. The entire mess hall had to be evacuated, and half the base ended up in the medical center getting their stomachs pumped or receiving IV fluids. Soldiers were burping soap bubbles for 3 days, and some guys claimed they could blow actual bubbles when they burped. Henderson tried to blame the maintenance crew for leaving unmarked containers in the kitchen, but everyone knew he should have checked what he was using. The mess sergeant nearly had a stroke when he realized what had happened under his watch. The base commander was so furious that he ordered a full investigation into mess hall procedures. Henderson got transferred to supply duty and was banned from ever working in food service again. He became legendary as the cook who literally tried to wash our mouths out with soap. The best part was the medical report that went up the chain of command. Some colonel at headquarters had to write an official incident report explaining how 200 soldiers were hospitalized because someone confused floor cleaner with cooking oil. For months afterward, anytime someone complained about mess hall food, people would say, "At least it's not Henderson's hash browns." Henderson's signature dish became the most infamous meal in Fort Carson history.